that's all a coach is looking for. If you made a mistake, if you didn't see something, or if you may have gotten something wrong, or it's not a sin to admit it. It's not a
Right.
sin to admit it. Then we can get over it and move on.
This podcast is intended solely for educational and discussion purposes. The content shared within this program is not meant to embarrass, criticize, or humiliate any official, coach, team, conference, or fan. Our goal is to educate, inform, and promote a deeper understanding of the art and the profession of officiating, providing insight that benefits all who love and support the game. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of The Play is the Play. We're going to have some fun today, and we're going to start off with our intro, and I am so proud. You guys have no idea what this means to me. And I can't really say little brother anymore because he ain't little no more, that's for sure. I used to say that when we were kids, but you know what? I got my bro, Coach Palmer, Mr. Rod Palmer in the house. Look at him. He doing highlights. He got his big old UCLA with the Jordan shirt on. I love it, but I am just elated. I'm excited to have my brother here. How long you been a coach now?
19 years Division I, 14 years high school, so I'm 33 years.
Man, see there? As long as I've been officiating, he's been coaching. So it's like, what's funny, I can take us back a little bit. When we were kids, we're 3 years apart, and we were two peas in a pot. And literally, we hung out together, we played sports together, we had neighborhood friends, and this is all we did. We were outside. My dad, we always had a basketball court in our backyard on the garage. We would always just
fights.
Don't forget about the fights. Oh, we had plenty of fights. We had fights, and until I figured out that I couldn't hit him anymore because he would knock the hell out of me, and then I stopped. So he win. After he got big, it was over. He got a little tall on me, and I had to stop that part. But you know what? I ain't scared. How about that? But we, as kids, we both just love sports. And, we were very, very blessed to have our parents who loved us and supported us and provided us with being able to play. And we played all sports. It just come to find out that basketball was our favorite. And that's what I selected. And obviously that's what he selected in his career. But wow, like he said, 33 years of coaching. Rod, just kind of take us through it. Because I know you did high school. Give us a rundown of the career with coaching.
Well, let me go back a little bit because you're talking about how we played sports, grew up playing sports. We would always play in the street. We had a wonderful street growing up. We had a lot of kids on our street, so we always played sports, organized sports. It was, football, basketball, baseball. We played it all on our street or in our backyard. So, it was great growing up, being able to do that. But getting into organized sports, you were the reason I got into organized sports because
Get
you
out
started
of
out
here.
playing baseball. You started playing baseball.
I did. I had to beg Daddy to let me play because there was no women's league, and I had to play little league with you. Yeah.
And soon after you started, I said, I want to do it too. So you got me into organized sports. I know no one knows that. And you
Wow.
probably didn't even know that. But
No,
you
I
got
did
me
not.
into organized sports, and it just took off from there. So, my career, I played basketball at Dominguez High School in Compton. Got a scholarship to UCLA. Played there for 2 years with Reggie Miller and Pooh Richardson and, guys of that sort. Transferred to UC Irvine where I played my final 2 years and graduated. After I graduated, I remember my high school coach, Ernie Carr, at my graduation. Ernie Carr looked at me and he said, "Now what, Junior?" He said it to me, and I had never thought about the now what part. So he said, on Monday, my graduation was on a Thursday or Friday. He said, on Monday, come to my office, we need to talk. So I went to Carr's office on Monday and we talked about possibly getting into coaching. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, my degree was in psychology. I always wanted to work with kids. I wanted to be a child psychologist. So coaching and psychology, it all works hand in hand. So he said, okay, so let's do this. Let's get you into teaching so that you can be in the district. There's a job opening at Compton High School. You can take that job and you can start your coaching career. I said, cool. I mean, this
Wow.
is right up my alley. So I graduated and June, I started working in December as a third grade teacher at Emerson Elementary in Compton.
I
Did that
remember
for
that.
3 years.
Hmm.
While I was teaching elementary, I got I got the coaching job at Compton High School. So it was kind of a difficult to go from the elementary, then get over to the high school. Carr said, okay, look, there's a teaching job opening up at Compton High School. You go to Dominguez Hills, get your teaching credentials. You can be on campus. I was like, yeah, I have to be on campus so I can see my guys, so I can, see what's going on with them on a day-to-day basis. So I did that. And Violet, after I started coaching, after I got that job, I was like, this is me. This
Yep.
is me right here. This is what I want to do. So, I coached at Compton for 7 years. During that time, I had 13 Division One players. I coached 13 Division One players, and during that time, our guys didn't really know about being able to play basketball and go to college. They had no, they really didn't have a grasp on how to get there, how to do it.
Hmm.
So with me having gone through it, with me having gone to school in Compton, nonetheless, gone to school in Compton, right where they were, and knowing the path to get there, I was able to show them, and they trusted me. They really believed in, okay, he's done it, maybe I can do it too. So I really put a lot of effort into, into my coaching, into learning how to coach, and to getting to clinics, and talking to as many people as I could, and having Carr as a mentor. My teams just took off, and I did that for 7 years, and transferred over to Centennial High School, where we won state championship, CIF championships. And once we won our last championship, I said, okay, I've done enough here. It's time for me to
Got it.
move on. And I remember Aaron Aflalo's dad, we had a celebration. How they do in Compton, once you win something, they take you up to the city hall and all of
Yeah.
that. And one of the ladies, one of the councilwomen said, okay, we want to thank Rod Palmer, and he's our coach for life, right? Aaron Aflalo's dad
Oh
came to
no.
me.
What'd he say?
Dad came to me after that. He said, hey man, don't let these people pigeonhole you into just doing this. There's so much more for you. And I had never thought about that. I said, okay, you're right.
Wow.
You're right. So now I started thinking bigger. I said, how can I get into, college coaching? Because I'd had a lot of these relationships because of the coaches who had come to recruit my players. So I had a lot of relationships with them, and I started going to their practices at USC and UCLA and Cal State
Hmm.
Fullerton, Long Beach State, just, mingling with these guys. And it just so happened in 2007, that was my last year. Before the season started, I told my principal that this was going to be my last year, stepping out on faith. I had no idea.
Shut up.
I had no idea where I was going. I just said, this is going to be my last year here. So I'm going to give you everything I have this last year. And after that, I'm moving on. Not knowing where I was going, not knowing, how I was going to get there, not knowing if there was going to be a job open, that, had no idea, sis. No idea. Um, so, when I told her that, but I started putting in my mind, okay, I have to start making some moves now, because faith without works is dead. So I had the faith, but I had to
There you
get to work.
go.
I had to
Get to
start
work.
moving.
Right.
Yeah, I had to get to work. So, the way it works out, the job at Long Beach State opened up. Dan Munson, who, he got the job. He came from Minnesota and got the job. I didn't know him from Adam. Had no idea who he was. But I knew Tim Floyd, who was the coach at USC, and I can't even think of his name right now, who was the coach at UCLA. I can't think of his name. But anyway, Munson asked them who would be a good coach, a good coach in the area who I could put on my staff. And them, to a name, they said me. So I
Absolutely.
got
Because you knew what now that's one thing everybody said about you. When it came to all the inner city kids, you
mm-hmm.
knew all of them. That I mean,
Yeah.
I used to literally hear that in the officiating world. Like, man,
Mm-hmm.
your brother just know all the, he just got an in with all the
Yeah.
players in the inner city, which is a great knack for you because
It is.
that became like your reputation.
They got me a long way. They got me a long way. That allowed me to move up the ladder. So being able to recruit the city, being able to recruit the
Hmm.
better players for where I was at that time at Long Beach State, being able to do that, it really helped elevate my, my status as a coach. And then the fact that I
Hmm.
was under good coaches, it really just took off. So that was my background and how I got into that and how I got here. So last thing I want to say about my move, coaching at Long Beach State for 11 years, kind of outgrew that, moved to San Diego State, and did that. Siobhan, my youngest daughter, we moved out there because
Right.
Siobhan was at Long Beach State with me. So when I
Right.
left, she transferred to San Diego State. But Josh and
Exactly.
Sherelle stayed here, right? Because
Right.
I didn't want to move Josh out. He was in the eighth grade. I didn't want to move him, his last year in junior high school. Didn't want to
Right.
move him. But it turns out, Siobhan and I were out in San Diego kind of, rolling around the city looking for houses after the season. And then I got a call from Mick Cronin.
Wow.
Do you want to come back and coach at UCLA? I'm like, man, I'm on my way. I'm walking now. Of course I want to
Hey,
coach at
I'll be
UCLA.
on the freeway in 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, God works in mysterious ways, and he just worked everything out for me for me to be in the position I am now. So it all worked out for the good.
You know what, bro, was interesting is that when you say, because it's funny when we look back on our childhood and how we
Hmm.
were raised and how our parents just did, they did a really, really good job of instilling in us confidence and
Hmm.
to not be fearful and to be God fearing, obviously,
Hmm.
but to trust your ability, to trust your talent, to not be afraid of hard work. That,
Yeah.
I remember dad, always used to say, ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. You
Hmm.
got to get out and you got to go work for it. And what's interesting is that you just gave your kind of your path in coaching versus I did the same thing. Mine was just in officiating because
Yeah.
literally, bro, the same way. It was like started in high school and it was almost like it just put a smile on my face when you said, you know what? When I got that job and I started coaching and that light bulb just went off and it was
Hmm.
just exciting and I was passionate and I just knew that I found my little niche and
And it wasn't
literally for
work.
myself.
It wasn't work. It was fun.
No,
It wasn't
not at
work. It was
all.
time consuming, but it wasn't work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But when you said that, it gave me chills because I know when I joined my, the LA unit and I joined my high school association and I got that shirt and shiny
Hmm.
shoes and the rule books and everything and that whistle. Rod, as soon as I walked out there on that court, I said, how about this? I won't be doing high school for very long because you know where
Yeah.
I'm a referee? I'm a referee. You see that UCLA sign on your shirt? I will be in Pauley Pavilion. I will be at the Galen Center at USC. I
Hmm.
knew that I wanted to work the big time. I knew that
Yeah.
I would bust my butt to make sure that however I had to maneuver myself to get to that level, that's where I wanted to be. Just
Yeah.
like you. And listening to you say that, it's funny how our careers were very similar in the path, but we
Hmm.
just you chose the coaching side
Yeah.
and I chose the refereeing side. But
Yeah.
they were very, very similar in how we met at the middle. You know what
That's
I
right.
mean? Just
Right.
listening to you because obviously, everybody knows how much I love and admire and my brother. It's,
Hmm.
people used to come up to me and say, you Rod Palm, you Coach P's sister. I said, no, 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 no. I'm older than him. Coach P is my brother. That was like an ongoing joke because every time I saw somebody in the sport world, they would always go, "Is that your brother?" It's funny how we did it for so long because we were on opposite ends. People
Yeah.
just started putting the two pieces together,
Right.
unless obviously they saw us at the same arena. Then they go, man, I should have known you two were sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, but literally with your career, I've always been just so proud. I've just admired, if just every time we would be at mom and daddy's house and we would sitting there, we watching football. You have your computer and you doing nothing but coaching stuff on that computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was, I mean, and see, it's interesting how, for me, just watching you, how I would just pay attention that
Hmm.
you were sitting on your computer. I don't know if you were doing some scouting stuff. You might have been doing some plays. You might have been, I think a couple of times you said, I'm doing the setting the practice schedule or
Hmm.
something, but it was always something,
Yeah.
even when you were not in a gym.
Hmm.
And we at mom and daddy house, we either laughing, joking, having dinner on Sunday,
Yeah.
watching a football game, watching a basketball game. Because, we, on Sundays, that was just automatic for us. We would go to
Right.
mom and daddy's and
That's
we would
right.
all get together
That's
and
right.
just spend time,
Hmm.
But I wanted to bring you on because you have had such a successful career in coaching and you've been so blessed because you've been fortunate with all of your jobs remaining, and I shouldn't put this out there because that might be an omen, remaining in Southern California.
Yeah.
Because coaches got
Violet, not just in Southern California, in the same house.
there you go. I
In
was
the
gonna
same
get there. You have not
That's
had to move or nothing.
Violet, that's a running joke in the coaching realm right now that
Right.
I've had three jobs but I've lived in the same house. It's
Right.
amazing. It doesn't happen.
No, not too
It
many
just doesn't
coaches
happen.
can even say that. I already know they can't because they just haven't had, you could say it's luck, you could say opportunity, you could say just a blessing, or
That's
you
it.
could just say
That's
good
it.
fortune, or you could say staying in the right jobs at the right time with the right coaches. There's probably so many different variables that can fit where you are that just made it all work out the way it's worked out,
Yeah.
but um, I just think back to Juan and I kind of reminisced as when we were kids and how we just played all the time, everywhere, every day. It wasn't even work. We wanted to practice, we wanted to play, we wanted to be the best at whatever
Mm-hmm.
sport. It
Mm-hmm.
really didn't matter what the sport was.
Yeah.
We were just gonna give it 100%. And I think the other blessing is that we always had mom and dad. They were
Yes.
always at games. They traveled with us.
Yes.
I never forget I was playing AAU and mom and dad packed up the car and we were in our AAU team was in Louisiana. You remember
I
that?
just thought about that today, but I thought about that today. We went to Metairie, Louisiana to
Yep.
watch you guys play in New Orleans. I mean, amazing. Just
Exactly.
amazing.
They didn't, and I mean, just pack up the car, wasn't no problem. They just said, nope. If my kids are going, we gotta make sure they get there, and we're gonna be there to support them. And I know that when I was playing at Cal Poly, when you were at UCLA, you were at Irvine, mom and dad didn't miss any games. That just goes with the territory that we knew we had that support. And I can honestly say that I'm sure, and I know they're looking down from heaven, right
Hmm.
now, and how blessed they are and how happy they are that, they look at their children and go, we did all right.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did we did real good with our kids because they are at the top of their crafts,
Hmm.
top, and there's not too many, like there. I just know that I'm sure there's a lot of sisters and brothers and combinations in sports that have done extremely well. But it's kind of interesting because in most cases, the brother and the sister kind of play the same. They're in the same sport, but versus me and you, you're the coach and I'm a referee. We're
Yeah.
totally opposite. We're on opposite ends.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is strange. It is strange. And Violet, when you think about that, coming from where we come from, right, from the city that we come from,
Hmm.
the things that we've seen growing up, the obstacles that we had to endure, just getting from point A to point B a lot of times.
Man,
We aren't supposed to be where we are right now. So that's just, that's God all around. That's just God,
absolutely.
having his hands of protection and guiding us and keeping us safe. That's just God. So, and it's also, as you said, a testament to mom and dad because they didn't miss anything. But I remember we were at a Long Beach Poly game when you were playing, and dad got so mad at the ref that he came out the stands and he was chasing that ref down.
Oh my
He was
God.
chasing- I
No,
remember that like it was yesterday. So
man.
our parents were serious about their children. They were serious about rearing them the way that they needed to be reared. They were so supportive about everything we did, from sports to piano to school to whatever. They were
Yes,
super super supportive, and we wouldn't be where we are today. None of us, Juan, including none of us, we wouldn't be where we are today without them. So I'm just grateful to God that we had the parents that we had, and we were able to watch them as role models because I remember this distinctly that I don't remember Daddy missing a day at work. By the way,
no, he did not. I
I
just
don't
met
remember.
Juan and I talked about that when we were driving to the country. We were,
Hmm.
because when we drove this past weekend,
Yeah.
and I told some friends on that same note, bro. I said I always thought I never knew that there was a 5-day work week. I
Yeah.
thought it was 6 because my father always worked on Saturday too.
Hmm.
For the time we were kids, my father, the only time daddy took off was when he had to he used to have 3 weeks of vacation in the summer and then he went to 4-week vacation in the summer. That was it.
That's it. That's it. That's all we knew. That's all we knew was work. You got to work. I mean, you got to get up and you got to go to work. So that, I mean, when you grow up seeing that, when you don't see a dad sitting on his butt and waiting on a check, stuff like that, I mean, how he instills that in us. I mean, we didn't just get that automatically. That
No,
was put into us that this is the way it's supposed to go. You're supposed to get up, you're supposed to do your job and do it the best that you can do it. And that's
absolutely.
that's what he gave us. That's what mom and dad gave us. So I'm so grateful to them for instilling those work ethics in us.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, it's kind of interesting that, we're both in the same sport, but on
Hmm.
opposite ends.
Yeah.
And, I know for me, I can honestly say that and I don't know, because I've watched you on the bench, but being an assistant, assistants really don't say a lot to referees. That's just
Hmm.
not, because
Yeah.
mostly head coaches do the complaining to referees. But, I think there's only been one or two times where I can honestly say that you've actually called me on the phone when you had a really, really bad
Yep.
referee, or it was a play and you go, okay, sis, hold up. We
Yep.
had this play. Was this right?
Hmm.
You
I
know,
remember those times too. I remember. Yeah.
but it hasn't been a lot,
No.
so I can honestly say, and I don't know, and it may not have anything to do with me being a referee, but I can honestly say that for you, you haven't, as a coach, because you have some coaches that focus so much on officiating that they stop coaching.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you've never, it's never ever appeared to me that you have been that type of coach.
No, I'm not that type of coach, and part of it is because of you. I have an affinity for referees. I have a soft spot for referees. In
Makes
fact,
sense.
before every single game, sis, not only do I pray for our teams, I pray for the referees.
See,
Yeah,
you need that.
that's because of you. I pray that they're healthy. I pray that they can make the correct calls. Things of that sort. So that's every single game. I don't miss a game because I know I pray for my team, so I also pray for the referees, and that's because
Wow.
of you. But I don't. A referee that's a hard job. It's a hard job in itself, and I'm not going to be the person that makes your job harder.
Mm,
It's not my personality, number one. And then, if I need to talk to you, if I need to say something to you, I'm gonna talk to you like a man. I'm gonna
right.
come to you. I'm not gonna
Right.
be demonstrative and show you up. That's not who I am because I wouldn't want anybody doing that to me or to my sister.
See,
So I'm gonna talk to you like you're a human being, like you're a man, like you have feelings, and like you have a family,
right.
and try to get try to get some clarity on whatever it is, whatever the situation is. Now there's some refs who I have some disdain for because of the
Absolutely.
way they are, because of the way they act and some of the things they say and how they treat, coaches, how they treat players.
Hmm.
Some of them act as though they're
I
above the
like
coach.
that. See, that's really good for viewers because obviously you already know with this being my podcast, I have a lot
Hmm.
of referees that are going to listen
Yeah.
to this. And that's really why I wanted your perspective as a
Hmm.
coach because I respect it so much. I respect your opinion, not only as my brother, but someone who has been in the profession as long as you have. And to even hear you say, you know what? I am respectful to officials. My
Hmm.
sister's one. So I'm not
Yeah.
gonna, I know the job they have. I know it's difficult. So to hear you say that and for referees to hear that, because it's good for us to know that. Because
Yeah.
not all coaches come out of a bag on us. Not all
Hmm.
of them. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
do have the ones that you can communicate with, that you can be honest with. You can say, hey, you know what? I didn't like that play either. And
Hmm.
then the coach goes, thank you. I wasn't tripping.
Yeah. That's all a coach is looking for, sis. That's it.
See,
That's all a coach is looking for. If you made a mistake, if you didn't see something, or if you may have gotten something wrong, or it's not a sin to admit it. It's not a
right.
sin to admit it. Then we can get over it and move on.
But
But
see,
you know,
to
go
hear
ahead.
you say that is
Yeah.
so important though, because, and that's something that I try to teach, but until officials hear it or they experience it for themselves, they don't know. See, like
Yeah.
you saying it as a coach in today's world, and you're at one of the top programs in the country. So I know and hear you say that I know that referees are trying to do the best job they can, but they're still human. We're not
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Just like coaches are not perfect, players are not perfect. None
Hmm.
of us are perfect. But all you want is a mutual respect
That's it.
and a mutual understanding where sometimes we're going to agree to disagree. Sometimes I'm just going to have to give you the play. Or sometimes I'm going to have to say, Coach, you know what? Can we just move on? Because we're butting heads and we're not getting nowhere. And it's okay, but we still have a game to do. We got a long way to go before this game is over.
And
And I just appreciate you making those points because that means a lot, and
hmm
especially with referees listening to this. And again, that's why one reason why I said I got to get my bro on here because he's a coach, just to hear your perspective.
hmm And and some of the referees, Violet, I talked about, some of them I don't particularly care for. Not a lot of them, but they're just a
Right.
few. But they'll never know it.
Right.
They'll
Yeah.
never know it.
Because you're a
I'm going
professional.
to treat them with the same respect
Hmm.
that I would treat you if you're a
Hmm.
referee. But just their personality and the way they come off and the way they look at you and some of the things they say, like they're above you making a comment to them.
Mm.
Right? You can say something like, wasn't that a travel? And they look at you and say, I'm the referee. What do stuff like that? Come on, man. It's not that serious.
No.
It's not that.
Wrong.
We're still playing a
Wrong.
game. Yeah,
Right.
we're still playing a game. I mean, I should be able to talk to you. You should be able to talk to me. I should be able to voice some concerns to you. You should be able to give me an explanation, and we just move on.
Absolutely.
Don't make it worse. Don't make things escalate. It's not that serious. It's not
But
that
you know
serious.
what? See, there's another key point is that in trying to teach my staff that, you know what? That's a better approach because you want to, and I try my best, Rod. I tell them all the time, I go, look, I say, you got to learn each coach, and they're not all the same. What works for you may be different for another coach. But the point being is that it is my job to figure out a way so that I can communicate with you and do the best job in my game
Hmm.
within my personality and your personality.
That's it. And I know that's hard. That's not easy for a referee either. I know it's not easy because you have some strong personalities on the sidelines as coaches. I mean, some strong personalities. I've seen
Absolutely.
them up close. I know. I know
Hmm.
they can be hard on referees for no reason. They can
Right.
just be hard on referees.
Just
Like
go
they're asking
competitive.
for a check. I mean,
Right.
I see it all the time. So that's not an easy job for referees to to have that happy medium. It's not easy. I mean,
Right.
so your job, the job of referees is hard. That's why I have a lot of respect for the profession. A lot of respect for it.
Well, I think for me, I've been, like you, been very, very blessed to be someone who have worked on every single level of officiating
Hmm.
from high school, JUCO, small college, big time Division One, working the women's pro league, and working my way all the way up to the NBA.
Hmm.
And I think, and this is something that I feel like, Rod, is my gift. The gift was given to me, and I have to pay it forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And literally, I think Juan told me this, and this was interesting. We talked about this on our ride this past weekend. He said,
Hmm.
he said, Rod and I, when you told us you were retiring, and he said, Rod looked at me and he said, Juan, she ain't retiring. Now she may be retiring from the NBA, but
No way.
she too busy.
No. No way. No
Juan
way.
told me, he said, you
I
said,
didn't think that for
he said,
1 minute.
Rod's like, ah man, she
Not for
gonna she
1 minute.
gonna do something. Now I don't know what she gonna do, but she gonna have her hand in something. And
And I knew it
literally,
was going to
bro,
be big. I knew it was going to be whatever you did. I knew it was going to be big. I just knew it.
wow,
I knew
what a
it.
compliment. That's
Yeah,
you
I knew
know,
it.
that's crazy. That says a lot.
Hmm.
And it's something, Rod, that I really try, and I look at you. We and it just kind of goes with who we are and how we were raised that we try our best to be the best example of professionalism, of good character, intestinal fortitude,
Right.
being a good sportsman, and one thing I've learned, and literally I could hear Daddy right to this day, you treat people the way you want to be treated.
That's right.
And like you said, you know what? I know the job that referees have to do. I know that they're not perfect, but I know that they're not maliciously coming out here tonight to
Hmm.
screw us. Now, you have the bad ones that are arrogant and they're not approachable, but you do have the other ones that are professional. They're humble, they're approachable, they're good listeners. You can communicate with them, you can ask questions. They're going to try to be effective responses to your questions,
Hmm.
and I think for me, each level I've worked, I tried to take those nuggets. But I really, really feel like that I used to say to myself, man, you know what, Lord, why did my officiating career end at such a young age? Because literally, right, I was 55.
Hmm.
Who retires at 55? Nobody. I mean, that's not something that just unless you get like the golden handshake or something, and then if you get that, you're gonna take it. It just all of a sudden, and mine was just my knees. It wasn't that it hadn't to do with my mind, it had nothing to do with anything else. I was fully ready and good, other than when you bone on those knees, it just is what it is. But I think the fortunate thing was that I was already a coordinator to where I just made kind of like that little subtle transition to do it versus on a part-time level to do it on a full-time level where I could just devote all of my time to my staff and trying my best to create those referees that you just said. The ones that are approachable, good listeners, good communicators, physically fit, know how to talk to a coach. Don't come off as a know-it-all. Like don't ask me questions and all that. And I do my best, bro. You have no idea. And I'm like, look, I said, I work hard to learn. I got about 57 coaches with my 5 leagues. I do my best to learn each and every one of them personally. Because when they're upset, who they calling? Me. And I get a lot of phone calls. But I think one of the biggest compliments from my coaches, they say, first, Violet, you always have an open door of communication, an open line of communication where, and I tell them, Rod, I said, look, you can vent, you can cuss me out, you can give me the specific names of the referee that just pissed you off. I said, because that conversation is between me and you. That's it. It doesn't go any further. And I think with that brings trust of coaches feeling like, you know what, first of all, V's just gonna be honest. Bro, I'm as honest as I can be. My coaches could send me a play, they can call me, they can ask me about the play. If we got the play wrong, I'll tell them we didn't get that right. Period. Over and out. I tell my staff, I said, I don't lie to coaches. Now, if I honestly believe that we got the play right, I'm honest. We got the play right. But you know what? Not one coach has said, you know what? You're trying to take care of your referees. You're trying to cover for them. You know why they don't say that? Because they know when we're wrong. I tell my commissioners, we missed it. Now it's time for me to get with the crew. We're going to watch video. We're going to study. We're going to train. We're going to learn from the play so that the next time they're in the game, they'll probably do a little better with that particular situation.
That's what I'm talking about. It's not that hard.
No.
It's not that difficult. Yeah, we make mistakes, but we can always correct the mistakes and do better the next time. It's not that freaking difficult. No. But a lot of people make it that difficult. Violet, the question I have for you, and first of all, to all the referees that you've helped, I mean, they should be grateful to you because you've gone above and beyond, your call of duty. You treat these referees, all your, these people who work with you, who work under you, who are trying to get in the profession, you treat them with the utmost respect and, you're looking out for their best interests. So, they should be grateful to you, and I'm sure they are, and I'm sure they show it all the time.
I believe that they are.
How do you go about selecting officials? How do you go about advancing officials? How do you go about doing that?
Well, on the first part, the selecting part.
I'm doing the interviewing now. I'm doing the interviewing.
No, I got you. I like it. No, and I'm sure people, referees would like to hear it because it can help them navigate through their careers. Exactly. And I think for me, the one key thing is that you first got to pass that CNI test. That first impression is huge in officiating. It's huge. I walk in the gym, and me, I'm always in the gym.
Is it the confidence, the control, stuff
bingo.
like that? Yeah.
That's number one. Do you look the part? Are you physically fit? How do you look in your uniform? How do you carry yourself around the court? Are you walking around like you a know-it-all? Are you walking around well arrogant? Because if that's how you doing it, you ain't gonna listen to me either. So that's number one. And then after you pass that eye test, then I go to their signals. Have they worked on them? Do they use their voice? Are they projecting strength?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because one thing, when you go out there, you're selling a product. And if you don't believe what I'm selling, I don't care how good I am. It ain't gonna matter. Because I can blow my whistle, you're gonna go, she don't know what she doing. It's just automatic. So for me, I'm looking at, do they have good signals? Do they use their voice? Have they been working on their mechanics? Moving on the floor? Are they good partners? Because in most cases, if you're a good partner, are you that referee that wants to call all in front of your partner? Bad partner.
I have a problem with that too.
Bingo.
I really do. I have a problem with that.
It's huge.
There are 3 referees on the floor. But you're
Yeah,
making all the calls.
bingo.
That's
And
the
that's
problem.
not the one I want. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you know what? Not gonna help my staff. So that's a little quick, like a little snapshot, real
Mhm.
quick. And mind you, bro, I can do that 15 minutes, maybe 10, because it
I
ain't
got
gonna take me that long.
you. I
And
got
if I see a couple of qualities, then I go, okay, come on over to this. I put, you know how you have those little checks and you go over here. No, you go over here. I'm done. And then I go, no, you can come over here. Because what I know is that if you have those good qualities and you work hard, you got to study, you got to train, you got to
you.
watch video. If you do those things, I could get you to whatever level you want to get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I got
easy. But you have to have those core values within yourself for me to be able to give you something. If you're lazy, if you think you're out there thinking somebody gonna give you something, if you thinking you just want to get in this profession because it pays well and it's good money, it
It don't
ain't
show. That
it
kind of
ain't
stuff
so.
shows. It
There
shows
you
itself
go.
right up,
You're
right up
not
front.
dedicated. You're not. It ain't gonna work. So I think for me, that's how I pretty much can put a referee in my program. And what I mean by that is that I'm putting you under my umbrella so that all year long and in the summer, I'm gonna keep training you. We're gonna keep having discussions. We're gonna watch video. We're gonna have classroom sessions. We're gonna have discussions. I do this with my entire staff, and I
Yeah.
have to give my commissioners, Rod, so much credit because I got 5 leagues. I got 5 different commissioners.
Hmm.
And do you know they all work together to make sure that I just get whatever I need to be the head of all these 5 leagues? And they're
Wow.
independent now, but we all work together. Like in the summertime, remember, I go to my summer training in Chicago or I'm in
Yep.
Vegas. I have my entire staff that comes.
Wow.
Not too many programs in the country can do that, but I do
I
because
didn't know you did that. I didn't know that.
every summer we have a
I didn't.
training program. Every summer, the whole staff comes together and we break down video, we study, we train, we go referee games, we critique each other. I have a mentor program where I have my crew chiefs giving critiques. It's like a full program that we actually have to work because our game right now is at the best. And if we're not working on it, we're gonna fail. We're
Mhm.
just not gonna be good enough. And these kids, these young student athletes, they deserve for us to give them 100%.
They do. They do.
That's why we're there. And most people say, oh, I'm there because I'm gonna make good money. Yeah, the money's gonna come. I ain't in no sports for the money. Never
Hmm.
have been. You could tell me I could have went referee for free because I love it so much.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Now I've been blessed that I've been paid very well to do it. I'll take it. But
Hmm.
I never did it for the money. And I say this to referees now. I said, if you're in this because you just want to make money, then you just stay on the lower levels and work your little rec games and make your money and have fun. But if you're trying to advance, you actually have to have a different mindset. Now, to your second question, when you said advancing referees, and that's a whole nother process.
Hmm.
That means you've been on my staff, you're established, but you're doing those little bitty things that I just said that makes a successful referee.
Hmm.
You're consistent. Coaches respect you. Coaches, you know what? They know that they can talk to you. You're a good listener. You're not arrogant. You're confident, but they know that you are not going to allow their game to get out of control. You're
Gotcha.
not going to allow their game to get rough because when our games get rough, players get hurt.
Mm.
See? So when it comes to advancing, I know that they're a good communicator, they're a good play caller, they're a good crew member. You gotta be a team player. See,
Hmm.
when that crew, those 3 people go out there, if one is coming out of a bag, that crew is going down the tubes. They're not going to be
For sure.
successful.
For sure.
So if I'm trying to advance you from the first round to the second round to the quarters to the semis to the finals, I got to know that you're a team player,
Mm.
that you're not the one that's calling in front of your partners. You're not the one that's over there with the coach selling out your partner saying, yeah, I know he ain't good. You can't be that kind of
I've heard
person.
that too. I've
See,
heard
and
that too.
I know you've experienced those referees, but see, for me, if you that type of referee, you're not advancing. You're not even going to be in
Hmm.
the number because it's almost like being a cancer to a staff to where
Hmm.
all you do is you just suck the life out of everybody.
Yeah.
It's just we're not going to be successful because we
Yeah.
already know that officiating is hard just by itself with none of those obstacles. It's
Hmm.
very, very tough. So, advancing is level of experience. It's being a good play caller, being a good communicator. Coaches have that confidence in you that I know they have. So that when I send those 3 referees out there to work the first round of the tournament or the quarterfinals or the semifinals or the finals, they go like this: "Thank you. We're gonna be all right tonight." They
Hmm.
not even they're not even worried about the officiating. They're more, my job is to put a crew out there and let the coaching staff worry about coaching their kids, not
Yeah.
worrying about the officiating.
Well, you know what? When we get, like, for our games, we get the
Hmm.
referee list of who our guys are the day before, 2 days before, whatever it is.
Yeah,
And we can already make an assumption as to this is
absolutely.
going to be a hard game, or this is going to be a fairly rep game, or this is going to be, this rep is this. We already have that in our mind because of past experiences, right?
There you go.
So, I don't know if your referees know that, but, we get the list and
They do.
we kind of make
You
determinations
have
as to,
preconceived,
okay,
no,
this
you
is
have,
going to
yes,
be,
already in your
you know,
head based on how
yeah,
they
yeah.
treated you guys.
So if you have that bad reputation, this year,
You go-
you're going to have that bad reputation next year, and it's going to follow you the whole way. And I don't think that's
Absolutely.
something that you want.
No,
You mentioned
no,
something earlier. You mentioned something earlier about you can tell a referee the first 15, 20 minutes you watch. Same for me as a coach. When I go in and watch a
absolutely. I
player,
knew you were going to say that.
I can tell. I mean, I can tell in the layup line
There you
if you
go.
can play. I can
Because
tell it's
they
not
have
that
the
hard.
fundamentals, you know what type of athletic ability they got, and you go, you know what? I can teach them the rest. See,
Hmm.
because if
Because
you
we've been doing
have
it for so
those
long. We've
qualities,
watched it for so long. So yeah, yeah.
absolutely. You have certain qualities that you're looking for. The
Hmm.
rest will fall into place. I don't need, I can teach you the mechanics. I can teach
Hmm.
you your floor coverage. All I need to know is that you're going to work hard. You're going to study video. You're going to study your rule book. You're going to know the rules. You're going to know your mechanics. That part is easy.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you with managing the game. I'm going to help you with dealing with coaches, understanding how this coach is different from this coach. I'm going to help you with, you got to understand when the intensity in the game changes, you got to make sure that you're on top of it, that you
Yeah.
have that heightened awareness that, oh, we got to take it up a notch. Just like
Yeah.
you know how players do.
Of
Referees have to
course.
do the same thing because if
Of
you
course.
guys take it up a notch and we stay down here, we're lost.
Hmm.
We're not
Hmm.
going. We're behind the 8 ball. So for me, it's a combination of things with all these different players that with referees that they have to have those certain qualities that I know are consistent year in and year out, and those are the
Right.
ones that advance when you get to the playoffs because
Yeah.
they're consistent play callers, they're consistent in their crew communication, and they're going to always make sure that the game comes first. And here's one of
Yeah.
our philosophies, bro. Our philosophy is that the game always comes first. Number one, can never ever, no one's bigger than the game. And
Hmm.
then it's your crew. You're not a good crew, you're not going to have a good game. Those 3 people got to be one. You got to be in
Yeah.
sync, just like the mechanics and how we move and how whatever we pregame, they got to follow through with the pregame. And then it's myself. I'm last. So if you have a crew that's trying, you have a referee on a crew that's trying to put himself in the number 1 spot,
Hmm.
they setting themselves up for failure. They're not going to be very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
See, and that's
Another question
that's
for you.
what something that I try to instill in all of my referees every
Yeah.
single night, every single game, every single year. Real simple,
Okay.
not hard.
That's great information. That's good to know. So with me, when I'm recruiting a player, Violet, like I said, I can tell early. And for me, if I'm recruiting you, every game matters, right? So if
Mhm.
I'm there watching and I'm there, that game
Ah,
matters. But sometimes I like to sneak in.
oh,
I like to
absolutely. I
sneak
do the
in
same
and
thing.
watch
Don't tell them you're coming.
when you don't know I'm there. Yeah, when you don't know I'm there, I want to watch that game. I want to see how
Yep.
you are when I'm not there. I don't want you to impress me. I don't want you to impress me. I want you to play hard or play a certain way because that's who you are. And you just said, I
Oh,
was going to ask that question. Do you ever,
ab-
kind of get in and
what
watch referees when they don't know you?
100%. Now, see, it's funny
Yeah.
how as a coach and myself as a referee now, supervisor, a coordinator,
Hmm.
I do the same thing
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I need to know that you are that same person every single night.
Yep.
If you're trying to fool me or fake me out, I don't need you. See, because
Mm-hmm.
now I know that if I'm not in the building, you have stepping. And that's not cool. Because
Yep.
again, it goes back to what did I say? The game always come first. So you can't do that to those kids. That's not cool. So
Yep.
it's really not complicated. And it's interesting how we're on two different sides of the two different platforms, but a lot
Mm-hmm.
of our philosophies still they match up
They mesh. They do.
because it's basketball and the
Mm-hmm.
sport is the sport. It ain't changing. It is what it is. And
Yeah.
you have a team, you're on a team, and I have a team. It's just that our teams kind of do different things out there on the floor, but they
Mm-hmm.
still have to work hand in hand to be successful. Because if we don't do that, it's gonna be a long night. A long night.
And it is
So
all the same because you have to prepare. Number one, you have to
yep,
prepare for your opponent, and I'm sure you guys have to prepare for the teams that are playing. You have
yep.
to, you have to scout your opponent. You have to, get your team ready. You have to be on the same page. So those things kind of everything goes together in terms of refereeing and coaching a team.
I have this play. And it's more so, I just would like your opinion, because I think just viewers would like to just know, and I know as far as referees, I know how we feel. But it's always interesting for me to know what my coaches, what their opinion is when they see a play that's um, on a kind of like unsportsmanlike, like
Hmm.
it's just too much. So I would just be curious to see this play. They're gonna kind of go around the horn. You can run it, and the play is gonna kind of happen right in the middle. Here she come, and she just hits her.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I think
So
go ahead.
from my perspective,
No, here's
because in
another view. Just
basketball,
take a quick peek.
oh yeah, in basketball, what we teach our guys, right?
Okay.
We call it the karate chop.
Okay.
Whenever you come up and you come down on a guy as forcefully
Mm-hmm.
as this young lady did, that's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. That's a
Okay.
problem. That's not a common foul. That's a foul where if we were playing in our neighborhood in Compton, somebody did that, we would get up and it would be an issue. I mean,
Well, you
like a real
see, how about that? You know what, bro? You hit it on the head because if you notice, see how the referee stepped in?
yeah, yeah.
And what I teach them is that they gotta go. And I had told my referee here, the person that she's supposed to go to is the person who got knocked down, not the
Hmm.
person who did it. Because the person who gets knocked down is the person that's the offended player is the one who's gonna get up and
That's
want
right.
to go charge the other player.
That's right. So yeah, I can
But
totally agree with whatever the call was on there. I say it was a flagrant one or two. I'm not sure what determines it, but
you know what?
that was an
You dead on.
unnecessary foul. That was an
Unnecessary
unnecessary foul.
contact.
Yeah.
100%. Definitely. This
Yeah.
actually definitely a flagrant one.
Hmm.
Depending upon the game and what's been going on, I would have fully supported if they would have called that a flagrant two. Easy.
Yeah.
No
That's
problem.
malicious. It looked kind of malicious to me, honestly. It
I
did.
agree. It's just,
It did.
we say impact, follow through, wind up. It had all
Hmm.
three
Hmm.
and a little extra where
Yeah.
it wasn't, sometimes we use the term it wasn't a basketball play, but it kind of was because
Hmm.
she was really trying to block the shot. But I like your term. What did you say? The karate chop?
Yeah. Karate chop. Whenever you come karate chop down on a guy, we teach not to do that. We teach go straight up, try to keep your hands straight up behind your ears, and do it the
Yep.
way. Whenever you start coming down, it creates a
It's
problem.
a
But to
problem.
come down like that, that's automatic. That's
There you
automatic
go.
issue.
Well,
Now I
see,
would
at
love to
least,
know.
you know what? You honestly have been watching. Look, you are my brother because we actually agree 100% on that play, you and I,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
me as a referee and you as a coach.
I would love to have seen what came before this, what the time and score was. If there had been any jawing back and forth before this
No,
to
you know what? And
facilitate this type of act.
I'm actually trying to remember because I actually remember this game. It's a pretty good rivalry. This is in the Big Sky and it's like number one versus number two team.
Okay.
And I remember my crew chief saying to me that the only reason why he didn't call it a flagrant two was because they hadn't had anything malicious in the game. This is like a single play. So he felt like, you know what? And the player actually helped as well because the player that got the offended player that gets knocked down, if you notice, she just got up and
Got
was
up
going
and
to the
walked.
free throw line. So if she gets up and she starts going toward the person who hits her and they got to break them up and then it's a big commotion, they might have made a different decision. But
Well,
this
do you remember the
play,
time and score? Do you remember the
it
time and
was,
score
you
of
know
that
what,
play?
it might have been in the fourth period, but it was a close game and this was a single incident. So I was okay. And I said to my crew chief, Bob Schofield, I said, hey, you know what? I'm okay with a flagrant one. I said, but if you had some other unsportsman conduct actions in the game, what would you have done? He said, I would have dumped her immediately
Yeah. Now,
because
Violet,
now you're
would it
going,
have changed? Would it have changed? Would that call have changed had the offended, got up and went towards the young lady? Would anything have changed?
I said that. If she would have got up and charged her and they had to break them up and you got all these players coming at each other, we might have had a different outcome. Because
Yeah.
now as a crew, they're thinking, okay, we got to this game is rough and now we got to calm this game down. So we may dump her so that all the other players are like,
Okay.
you know what?
Okay. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
okay. We got the point, ref. We not going, we ain't no coming back from this. So it may have changed if we would have had a different reaction by the offended player, but because it dissolved, and that's our lingo, it really dissolved, and there was really nothing else happened. The play was over. We still called a flagrant one, cleared the floor.
Yeah.
She shot her 2 free throws, and the offended team got the ball back, and everybody was
Okay.
cool. But
Now, going back, you mentioned
bro.
something about Violet. You mentioned something about the referee, the young lady who was refereeing, who
Uh
got in
huh.
between them.
Uh huh.
And I'm not trying to put her out there or anything, but did she do the right thing in going? Did she go to the offended player enough, or did she,
No,
how did that
I.
play?
That's what I talked to her about. Now she did a nice job of getting in between them, making her presence known. But what I said to her is that I was okay with that, but I would have preferred her turn and go to the offended player to make sure that offended player couldn't get around her. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because that's the player. See how she steps in? I want her to, the player that's on the ground, go toward her. See, because she could have got up and went charging blue. And she's just
Yeah.
standing in the middle versus instead of standing in the middle, go a little closer to the player that's on the ground, letting her know we got this.
Hmm.
We understand the contact and we're going to make our decisions, but we got this play.
Now, is there
That's the
anything
only,
different that the other two? Is there anything different that the other two referees could have done,
no,
or
they
were
did
they?
exactly, all they're supposed to do is observe and make sure that nothing kicks off as far as any dead ball officiating. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to put your head down, looking at the ground, wanting to go tie your shoe, wanting to go chase the ball. You got to make sure that all these players now separate and everything calms down before they huddle, because what they're going to do on this play, after everything calms down, they're going to huddle, they're going to have their discussion, and then they send them to their benches. They're going to go to the monitor. They're going to look at the play and decide whether they want to call this a flagrant one or a flagrant two.
That's
See how the
good. See,
players now?
I need more of this, Violet. I need more of this. So now I can go to the referees who have our games, and look,
Yep.
man, my sister said you're supposed to be doing this. You didn't do that right.
You know what? See, now you're gonna put there, look at you. See? But no, you know what? I really could help you in that part of looking at certain plays, and you ask me questions and I say, hey bro, here's what we could have did better, or here's what your player could do better, because you can go back to practice and you can help your kids with that information. Or
Yeah.
or coaches, you can give coaches that information, because that's literally information. Is you just want the information. You just want your players to know how to handle certain things so that they're
Yeah.
not caught with doing something and then they get kicked out at the wrong time, and it just creates something that you just don't want, throws your whole game off. But we
Yeah.
really could. We could sit and watch some plays. If you got some plays, you say, hey sis, you know what? I got these couple of plays. You know what? Can we look at them? We just at the house chilling. Can or you can just email them to me. I'll look at them. We can do what we're doing right now. Take a look at them and I can say, hey bro, they could have did this, 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 which helps you, because when you're in practice, the objective is to teach your kids the right fundamentals and the right things so that they can stay in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the objective, period.
Very
Or,
helpful. That would be helpful. Yeah.
yeah, or teaching you, like I just told you, you said, oh, now I know how to go to the referee and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you know what? That's too much. Or that was, like you said, that chop.
Yeah.
We already know as soon as your hand goes up and then you come back down to swing down on somebody, you're suspect.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a play that we're going to have to go to the monitor and look at. So, but you're dead on. So that was really good, bro. That was really good.
Cool. Cool.
But I have to say that, you and I, we can do this for hours, and I
Good.
have loved it, and it was a beautiful, candid, conversation. And I'm just so thankful and blessed to have my baby brother on. I swear, I love you to death. You already know that, but I am
Yeah.
so proud of who you are, what you do, what you stand for. I'm proud that I got two amazing nephews. I got my nephew Josh, your son. He's at Irvine, at your alma mater. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I'm sure that just makes you so proud. And then, we got Caleb. He's at USD. So, you know what? What a beautiful thing. And I just look forward. I do my best. And you already know, even when they were in high school, and I'm at every
Oh
game I
yeah.
could get to
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I want to be supportive, and I just want them to know that we support them and that we're behind them, that we want them to be successful, and I know
No
that they
question.
will
No
because they're
question.
they're excellent kids. We don't. That's a beautiful thing. You guys got excellent young men. They're
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
respectful,
we do.
they're kind, and they're loving, and that's everything. And that comes from obviously the way we were raised and what and Sherelle are instilling in your kids.
Yeah.
But bro, I thank you, and you know what? You're the best. And I just want to, let everybody know, you know what? How about this? I know that you're going to get some great kudos from this. Either it's on the coaching side or on the refereeing side. We can all keep learning, we can all keep training, and we can all keep teaching. But we're all here for the greater good of our game. And we have an
Yeah.
amazing game right now. It's awesome. And to be a part of
Yeah.
basketball right now is tops. There's no question on both sides. So
Mm-hmm.
I just thank you for your time. And I know it's, a crazy time of the year right now because we're kind of getting ready to get in the thick of it. But I just appreciate you taking the time to come out and hang out with your sister for a little while. You and I will have to do this again, without a
Yeah,
doubt.
definitely,
Without a doubt.
definitely. I'll jump at the chance. Before we go, I want to say two things. It's amazing and how good God is to us. My son got to make his first college basket against his dad. You know, that is just amazing to me, the way that worked out. His first
Wow.
college basket, first college, against his dad. I was there. I was in
Yes,
cheer. And our whole bench was cheering
jumped up.
during the
I
game.
know they
Our
were. They
whole
were
bench,
happy
coaches
for him.
included, were
Man, and you know what? How about this? The first thing you did, because we have our family text, when I saw that on the family text, I think I
yeah.
saw it this morning, as a matter of fact. When I
Uh,
saw that video, I said, "Look at my baby," because we know Josh's nickname was Baby Jesus, because he
yeah.
was Jesus in the manger when he was little for the church play. But and Chancey and I just gave him the nickname. When I saw him make that basket, and it's funny, even the commentators, bro, the commentators
Yeah.
said, "Look at
Yeah.
Coach P. He over there
Yeah.
smiling from ear to
Wow.
ear because
Happy.
they literally saw how proud and how happy you were to see your son succeed in front of your eyes, his
Hmm.
first college game, his first
Unreal.
3-point shot. You
Unreal.
can't plan that any better.
Unreal. Can't plan it. Can't plan it. And the last thing, I want you to know how proud I am of you. I tell you all the time,
You
I'm just
do.
waiting for the next thing. I'm waiting for the next big thing you're gonna do. I know
Hell,
it's coming.
how
I'm
about
just
this?
waiting on it.
Look, I'm doing it right now. We'll see. We'll see what else happens, but I'm doing, this whole podcast thing. I'm trying something new. And you know what? It's going well. So,
That's
hey,
good.
nothing beats a failure but a trier. And
That's
I
right.
love basketball. I love officiating. I love sharing. I love sharing the knowledge and spreading it and helping people to get wherever it is they need to go.
Hmm.
Like you said, we've been extremely blessed in our careers. I've been to the
Yep.
top. But one thing I
Yep.
can tell you that once you go to the top, you have to come down. But how you going to treat people when you're going down on the other side?
That's
And I
right.
think for
That's right.
me, this is my pay it forward to give back and to teach and train because that's really all I'm trying to do right now. I'm just doing it using a different method with this podcast of teaching and training and developing and sharing knowledge. So I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you. I love you and I really, really appreciate you taking the time to share a little couple of nuggets with your big sis. And we must do it again. How about this? We already know, keep training, keep studying, keep developing, and remember, the play is the play. Peace out.